Hi, Gene here with today's thought. It's no secret among us conservatives, and I would think the general public too by now, that the press is biased, that the so-called mainstream press, the major newspapers, TV stations, websites, they're biased. They're biased against Republicans and in favor of Democrats, or biased against conservatives and in favor of liberals now, or the bias against the right and in favor of the left. Well, Exhibit A would be the Russian collusion story that the press ran with for years, literally for years, and it was a hoax. It was never anything there, and they were so disappointed when Mueller, the special counsel, just, he concluded that there was nothing there, and you could see that he wasn't too happy. He was not too happy to conclude that there was nothing there if you watch the hearing. But this is something that liberals, some of them deny. They think I guess they just think that that the press is objective. But we have an important test coming up now. Oh, and did I mention the Biden laptop? That the papers, only the New York Post, conservative paper, reported it. The other papers refused to cover it, but they gave a lot of coverage to the 51 former intelligence officials who signed a letter that was that said that the laptop had all the earmarks of a Russian disinformation operation. We now know that that was a hoax too. I'm not going to go into that today. What I'm going to go into today, because we all know that, but what I'm going into today is that we don't have to argue anymore. We have an important test coming up. Today, James Comer, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, he held a press conference this morning, the day before you're seeing this, and he went through chapter and verse, passed out documentation, a memo, 36-page, I think, memo to the press who were there, and demonstrating that the Biden family received $10 million. 9 members of the Biden family, $10 million from China, and it turns out now from Romania. And according to Comer, there are other countries potentially involved too. They're just scratching the surface. They're just getting started now. So there are going to be future press conferences as more information comes through, and I would expect hearing, and I would expect testimony from whistleblowers. I'm especially looking forward to Tony Bobulinski, but now I'm going off on a tangent here. That will wait for later. I want to get to the test, which will be does the press cover what happened today at all? This is bombshell news. This is very big. This is a major scandal. I was around for Watergate. This is bigger than Watergate. I'm going to get to Watergate in a moment, but this is a test to see if you watch the national news, maybe you could tell me what you saw covered. I'm going to go onto YouTube where you can see at the beginning. I know NBC for sure has they post their evening broadcast on YouTube, and all of these news shows, news reports, they start with a quick summary. This is what we'll be covering tonight, and they give brief capsule synopses of what they'll be covering in that. So all you have to do is, in the broadcast, all you have to do is just watch that beginning part actually and see if they mention the press conference today, see if they do their job. Now, about Watergate, I want to mention that because Comer mentioned it, and he made a very good point, which is it shows how corrupt our press has become. It's I don't know why I didn't think of this, but it's a fine example. Because, as I said, I was around for Watergate, and as Comer pointed out, it was not Congress that discovered the Watergate break-in and the Watergate scandal and follow the money, et cetera, et cetera. As we all know, or you should know, Woodward and Bernstein of the Washington Post discovered it. An informant came to them, the so-called deep throat that we now know was Mark Felt. The point is that the press found out. Congress didn't know about it. It was the press that discovered the Watergate scandal. This time, though, it's the press could not care less. And it was well, I was going to say Congress, but actually just the House, just the House that's controlled by the Republicans and have subpoena power. The Democrats, Democrat-controlled Senate, cannot be bothered. So this will be a test for them too. As this comes out, will the Senate hold hearings? And actually, I see impeachment in the future, not only for this, but for other issues. The whistleblower who said that there is a document that the FBI has, that they have evidence that Joe Biden exchanged favors, changed policies, influenced national policy in exchange for money from a foreign country. And actually today, the day before you're seeing this, the deadline was for noon for the FBI to respond to a subpoena and turn over the document. We'll have to see how that turns out. But the point he's making is that the press couldn't be interested. The press, as he said, this is Pulitzer Prize winning material. The press should be all over this. They would definitely be all over this if it were, well, a Republican, but especially if it were the Trump administration. But this is Biden, and by the way, 17 transfers of money he mentioned, and this is the press. They would try to excuse it and say, well, none of this happened when Biden was vice president. No. Or yes. 16 of the 17 payouts came that he mentioned in the press conference, and that was not all the payouts. I think that was just the first $3 million that we heard about that they got $1 million of. And by the way, there's a pattern of all these things that they found a pattern of all these payoffs. 1/3 that the Biden family got 1/3 of all these payoffs, and repeat that over and over. And all the shell LLCs to launder the money and hide it from. Well, if it's from hiding it from the IRS, then you have tax evasion. All these serious charges. The press should be all over this. Let's see if they are. And I'll report, further on this. But that's my thought for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would be great. But in any case, I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.